Hello everybody, I am Lucent and let us embark into a deep dive of yesterday's Hytale blog post. In this first section that we will be diving into, we see Qatar adding an assorted selection of custom brush presets to his hotbar. He will then proceed to leave the creative menu and select the basic brushes in his first hotbar slot, revealing an informative UI bar located at the left of his screen. This UI shows us each keybind for this particular tool. It is important to note that each creative tool that we see for the rest of the video follows this format. Qatar continues by using the selected brush to start placing boulders around the surrounding area, before reopening his creative inventory and modifying the origin of the boulders that he is placing. Qatar now switches to a second hotbar slot. This brush is a grass path brush that allows Qatar to start replacing the grass with a custom pathway pattern. This is followed by Qatar switching to his third hotbar slot, revealing the mountain brush. We see Qatar using this brush to make an arch over the previously formed pathway, before adding more to the width of the base of both sides of the arch. Skipping ahead, we see Qatar selecting the brush in his fifth hotbar slot. This is the Ruin brush, a brush that allows Qatar to generate a randomized custom structure. Using this brush, we watch as Qatar fine-tunes how he will generate the following structure. Again, we are skipping ahead to see Qatar use the brush from his fourth hotbar slot. This is the Ruin Roofs brush, which, unlike the previous Ruin brush, generates randomized custom structures with roofs. This next tool that Qatar introduces to us is the Change Player Model tool. This tool, as the name suggests, will allow you to change your player model into any entity within Hytale. As we see, Qatar changes his player model into a corgi. In this state, the player's model animations are switched to the corgis as well. The prefab editor is our next tool shown. Starting in a menu and after selecting the saved config, this tool takes Qatar to an instanced prefab world, where he adds the prefab selector and set anchor tools to his hotbar. With the selector tool, Qatar begins to select the varied prefabs and runs a /edit prefab info command, pulling the selected prefab's file information and dimensions. We now watch Qatar switch to the anchor tool and place an anchor on the first prefab. After this, he begins to examine the second prefab and its anchor point. This is followed by briefly examining the third prefab. Continuing, Qatar decides to select the second prefab and runs a /copy command in chat, then a /p-edit exit command, possibly called prefab edit exit. This takes Qatar back to the original world that he was in, where he will then enter the creative menu and add the paste tool to his hotbar, and place a preview of the prefab into the world. With a little positioning and rotating work, Qatar finds the position that he is most satisfied with, before finally pasting the preview of the selected structure into the world with the paste tool. We now move on to the Machinima tool, where we see Qatar add a new actor that is a camera entity, which is placed into the world immediately facing a ruin placed much earlier in the video. Qatar, after examining around the ruins, looks around, then heads back and positions the camera to face towards the ruins. We now watch Qatar place a keyframe in front of them, then move to place a second keyframe directly under the arch, with the third right above, and a fourth just to the side. Before finally placing the last 3 keyframes at the prefab we just watched him place. After placing all the keyframes, we watch Qatar start a playback, in which a cinematic camera goes from each key point to another in the order that they were placed. This first speed is too fast, so Qatar uses a point Mach speed 2 command to slow it down, before using a point Mach speed 8 command to adjust to the ideal speed. The paintbrush tool is the next tool on this list. We watch as Qatar uses this brush to paint many cubes on the ground before using a /undo n-count 50 command to undo that many cubes he created. This is before then entering the creative menu and changing their width and height to 23 and 27. Qatar then assumedly uses the alternative click to start erasing the ground in the shape of the selection. Following this, Qatar then shows us a variety of other shapes that we can also paint or erase in the world. This next tool Qatar shows us is the Axis Lock and Masking tool. With the masking feature of this tool, you can select a block to mask over with other block materials. In this case, Qatar selects the block of the custom shapes that he has created to ensure that when painting, he will only paint over that desired block. Qatar selects his first block, Rock Chalk, and his second block, Rock Marble, as his first 2 mask materials. Qatar now enters the creative menu and adds 3 instances of cyan cloth to the masking materials. This will create a 20-20-60 ratio of placing rock chalk, rock marble, and cyan cloth for the mask. Because the density was set to 34, not all blocks painted were changed. After realizing this, Qatar changes the density to 100 and paints a little more before entering the creative menu and removing the 3 instances of cyan cloth from the mask materials. This will leave a 50-50 ratio of block chalk and block marble. Now we are on to the Axis Lock and Masking tool's Axis Lock feature. This tool creates a plane along an axis that you can paint on. This axis locking ability can also be rotated along each axis, being able to create diagonal slopes in each direction. The basic selection tool is our next tool shown. Here we see Qatar selecting an area. He then uses a /setEmpty command to remove everything in the selected space. After this, he modifies the selection again and uses a /setSoilGrass command to fill in the space of the terrain that he had removed. With the selection tool, Qatar shows us how easily it is to modify and shift the selection through quick examples of expansion, contraction, and repositioning. This shows us the flexibility of creating selections to then use in combination with the functionality of other tools that we have explored. Examples include the copy, rotate, and paste systems. These features will move us into our next tool. We watch as Qatar, using the previous selection tool, selects the crystal structure that he created and repositions it to the ground, then switches to the Copy, Move, Rotate tool. With this tool, Qatar copies the crystal, and begins to move and eventually rotate it as he pastes more into the world. We now move on to the basic measurements tool. This tool allows Qatar to measure between two designated positions with the distance measured in blocks. This tool can also have multiple measuring instances be in the world at the same time. Qatar now shows us the laser pointer tool. This tool creates a beam from where you are located to any object that your cursor is pointed towards. The laser pointer that Qatar is using only lasts for a couple of moments, but we see that when Qatar opens up the creative menu that we are able to modify both the duration and color of the beam. The last tool that Qatar will now show us is the Sculpt Brush tool. This brush allows Qatar to raise or lower the shape of the terrain where his cursor is at. This allows him to build up the terrain or remove a large portion as we see him about to do. Now that we have finished showcasing the creative tools from the blog post, here are my thoughts and opinions on these tools. First was the brush presets. This includes all brushes that we see in the entire video, not just the first ones. These brushes allow builders and map makers to be able to quickly add rough or finalized touches to projects, which is a much welcome addition to the game. Or the ability to make real-time edits to projects without the brushes having to update the world after the change. Altogether, the brushes will be an easy, quick way for players to get into building with tools without having too much of a steep learning experience. Next, we have the Change Player Model tool. This tool will be a core foundational point for role-playing servers and machinima users. The ability to change your player model to any entity in the game will allow these two groups to create intricate stories and videos. I am personally really excited to see what capabilities we will see from creative users. The Prefab Editor appears to be a tool that all map makers must learn for saving custom prefabs for quick ease of use at later dates. To be able to simply jump into an instance world and pull out any or all custom prefabs that you have ever made into the world that you're currently working on is something I never imagined could be done in such a marvelous way. As for the machinima systems, I have high hopes for what will come from this. The one hope that I have the most is that we will be able to create custom cutscenes in worlds that players will be able to trigger. For story building elements, this has the potential to be one of the best features in the game. Now the Axis Lock and Masking tool. This will be a very fun system to play with. While I'm unsure on how much each of these will be used, the potential is unlimited in the hands of a skilled builder or map maker. For the Selection tool, and the Copy, Move, Rotate tool, I'm personally really excited for them. They are very simplistic and flexible in their functionality, and will be used almost in all creative building and map making. The tool that I have the most curiosity about is probably the Ruler tool. For making custom maps and experiences, you may want to create certain terrain or pathways that challenge the capabilities and creativity of players. So for this tool, the ability to pull out a measurement instantly for any purpose is something I'm very excited about. Now for the laser pointer. While I am a big fan of it, it will be used probably exclusively for when you wish to show another person what you're looking at. Besides this certain use case, for the average player or people who enjoy playing single player, this will be a tool that you will never need. In conclusion, I would say that all these tools are absolutely fantastic, and each tool will have players who fall in love with them. I know that for my personal projects that I am preparing in Minecraft to transfer over to Hytale, each of these tools are indispensable and will be very fun to play with. In the end, thank you for allowing me to take you on this journey, and I hope you will join me for more exciting adventures in the coming future. Stay safe, and I look forward to our next journey. Farewell.